Even if you're very well prepared for it, if you've never experienced it, it's not something you can properly grasp until you have experienced it yourself.
Go, 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 yeah, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system.
Hello my lovely crew members, newcomers, but most importantly my beloved OGs. Welcome to another rambling session. I'm your host Lucy, aka Lucifer, and I'm a former obese girl turned bodybuilder. In today's video I want to talk a bit about what happens after you step on stage, once the thick layers of tan and makeup have been washed off. Before we get into it though, I would highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button. That way you can join our prestigious crew and you won't miss out on the next video. Now without any further ado, let me tell you why post-show is the hardest and yet one of the best times of a bodybuilder's life. The time right after a show can be one of the most fun parts of bodybuilding. You get to eat out a lot, you have more food freedom, and for a while, you still look absolutely incredible. You can quite literally have your cake and eat it too. It makes me feel like I'm in a movie. You ever seen characters that are in really incredible shape and then they're portrayed as eating out a lot, drinking, partying and whatnot, and it seems like they're just effortlessly existing like that? Well, that is you post-show. It is magical. Well, if it's done right, that is. When I say eating out a lot and more food freedom, I don't mean going to an all-you-can-eat buffet for every meal every day. Even if I did eat out quite a few times a week, or I did some baking that I'll fit into my macros to satisfy a craving, it is important to gain the weight back slowly and not put yourself into a ginormous surplus. Because if you do, you really won't look great for the next few weeks and you kind of ruin that whole period for yourself. A perfect example of that would be Larry Meals, as people called him during that time. Bro had turned himself into kind of a puffy sponge. Besides your ego, that is also not very good for your organs. My own very first post-show experience wasn't perfect. I went a little bit overboard once or twice, but in general it was pretty smooth sailing and I did have a great time. I think I might actually insert some clips of the eating shenanigans into this video just to illustrate my points. Yeah, it can be an absolute fantastic time. My second post-show experience was the hardest dieting I ever had to do, at least since my initial sugar and processed food withdrawal that I did at the beginning of my journey when I just learned how to diet and yeah, I had to overcome my addiction there. But yeah, it was equally as hard. It was really hard. Even though it was that extremely difficult, there too I had a very enjoyable time and it was very special. Being able to chill with friends and eating burgers on a Thursday afternoon like normal people would do and still being almost stage lean felt amazing. But that time I was really struggling to not fall off the deep end. I did fall off a little bit here and there. What was harder last time was that I kind of got in my head about it and I really felt like I was having a harder time getting back on my horse. Part of what makes a hinge is how you mentally deal with it and how you frame it. It's not necessarily just about how much you eat. Overeating can be eating one too many rice cakes, or it can be eating 10 pizzas, but depending on, I mean, anything can feel like a hinge. I hope that kind of makes sense where I'm going with this. It's however you frame whatever overeating you just did in your mind. And to my shame, the one or two times I fell off a bit and I pigged out a little bit more than I should have, I think the way I dealt with that kind of would qualify, I guess, as a hinge-like mindset or behavior. Those two evenings where I had a decent amount of snacks more than I should have didn't throw me off track much. I actually recovered pretty well. Ilona, my former coach, was monitoring my physique and my weight very closely post-show, as any good coach would, and made sure that I didn't fall way too far off or something like that, and made sure that I was recovering well. But nonetheless, those 2 times where I snacked a bit too much was the first time that I've kind of felt like I had a little relapse moment, even if it was just in my mind. That is why I want to have a little challenge for my next post-show period. Be absolutely flawless. Only eat what my coach allows me to eat, no more, no less. No fuck-ups, no stretching the definition of what one cheat meal looks like. Now that is a worthy challenge, because dieting in prep is so much easier than dieting after. Even if locking in after still includes a bunch of cheat meals and more food freedom and whatnot, it is still that difficult, because your body is quite literally starving. Like, your whole biology, it's hard to explain unless you've literally starved yourself to that point. It's kind of hard to relay what that feels like and how difficult it can be to not give in. Anyway, for that challenge, I plan on using you guys for keeping me accountable, so thanks in advance. I hear that there are bodybuilders who have had such a terrible post-show experience that they abandon the sport altogether. And I think that is such a shame. They also say that people who have had disordered behaviors surrounding food in the past should definitely stay far, far, far away from competing. But with that, I disagree. Bodybuilding is what allowed me to finally defeat my affliction with food. But it is true that you absolutely need to be mentally prepared and ready, not only for the challenge of prep and competing, but for what comes after. If you are still struggling with maladaptive thoughts and behaviors surrounding food, then starting as prep is definitely not the way to go. Using prep as a way to enable your restrictive behaviors will also not lead to anything good. The same goes for me. While it can be very fun to indulge after the show, it can be exceptionally hard to put the genie back in the box. Post-show cannot be an excuse to uncontrollably hinge eat for weeks on end. So while you can let loose a bit, post-show still has to be a time of exerting control over your eating and yourself. Arguably, it's the time where you have to exert the most control as a bodybuilder. Leading up to the end of prep, I love to make a list of places I want to eat at, look at menus, and make sure I get the absolute most out of the cheat meals to come. It is so fun to almost drag the experience out in a way. The anticipation is part of the fun. It feels so good to finally have that fancy art treat that you've been eyeing up for months while starving. There are so many little things that make bodybuilding the best sport, in my eyes at least, and this is one of them. Delayed gratification is so much more gratifying than the instant version could ever be. I do not want to discourage anyone with past food struggles from pursuing bodybuilding or competing. I would only tell them to first get a very firm grip on dieting, make sure you're ready mentally, and only embark on your journey with qualified guidance. Bodybuilding can be used as a vice to enable your bad coping mechanisms, or it can be used as a tool to battle your bad behaviors with and have an awful lot of fun doing so. It's all up to you. It felt very validating to me when not only gaining weight back, but gaining fat back was the goal. And a good thing. For most of my life, I had been desperate to get it off me. I felt trapped by it, mocked by it, disgusted. And now suddenly, there is a moment where I could embrace it. I ate my cheat meals for it. I felt like I conquered it in a weird way. As said, I wasn't flawless in my execution, but making it through a post-show phase without blowing up still felt like an achievement to me. It seems like the leaner you get in prep, the harder the rebound will be. It was sometimes diabolical trying to resist the urge to gorge myself after getting women's physique lean. That sure is something else, but an amazing experience. Talking about it now, I think a lot of this bodybuilding stuff seems to be about control with me, the conquering of the self. Bodybuilding to me is kind of a journey in exploring that, and you really get to know yourself along the way. Speaking of control though, Control is a pretty good video game. If you haven't played it, you should give it a go. It's giving liminal, it's giving backrooms, it has really fun gameplay. It also, in a weird way, gives me similar vibes as Severance, which is an amazing TV show which you should watch as well. I'm sorry, I'm going super off topic now. I assume you didn't turn up to get media recommendations, but here we are. I guess it wouldn't be me if I didn't find a way to shoehorn some statement about gaming into every video. So, post-show. Even if you're very well prepared for it, if you've never experienced it, it's not something you can properly grasp until you have experienced it yourself. Being in that extremely starved state and then being released from that goal of doing whatever show you did, it's not just physically but mentally taxing. A big part of what keeps you so locked in and able to starve yourself to that point to begin with is having that goal, having a finish line. Once that finish line is crossed, it's extra hard to keep the lid on when you need to. Now you don't have to worry how you look compared to the next competitor. Now you don't have to worry anymore about the judges examining every inch of your body. Now your brain is just very occupied with how that cinnamon roll is going to melt on your tongue. One thing that happens when you get exceptionally lean is that you completely lose your drive for bedroom activities. Your body is using any and all energy to keep you alive. Reproduction can be turned off for the moment. In an odd way, it's almost like that desire for food fills that void. Not in a way that you legitimately develop a kink for Kinder eggs. In fact, absolutely nothing will arouse you in that way. But the desire for and enjoyment you get out of food is absolutely out of this world. You have never tasted the way you taste after starving yourself to single-digit body fat of chicken and rice for half a year. That is one hell of an experience, and that alone is so worth it. Even if there was no show, I would still want to do a prep. For the prep experience, but also for the post-show experience. Food is just... You have never experienced food the way you will experience it after a show. It is truly amazing. In general, prep is such an incredible thing to do. There are so many aspects and angles that make the bodybuilding experience of bulking, cutting, getting stage lean and then recovering to do it all over again such an incredibly fun and rewarding lifestyle. But how about you? What was your favorite post-show treat? Have you spent hours on Google Maps picking out places to eat at? Do you think you have what it takes to make it through a post-show phase without falling at least a little bit off the bandwagon? Let me know in the comments below. Besides my muscles, I'm also trying to grow the most awesome and amazing crew on YouTube. So please, hit the subscribe button and get on board. We may still be small, but quality over quantity, right? By the time you're seeing this, there should also be memberships. So if you want to support the growing of this channel and the growing of the muscles, then I would love if you would become a member. And I think we can do the same thing that we did in the beginning of this channel, but for the members. In case you don't know, the people who subscribed within the first 10 videos on this channel, they're now the OGs. That's the most prestigious status. So they're the OG members. So let's do the same. The people that become members within the first 10 members videos, they are then the they're then the OG crew members, if that makes sense. And if you're an OG and you do that, you would be a OG crew member. Ooh. Now that's a coveted title. Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but nonetheless. So, thank you guys so much for watching. That is the end of another rambling session. And as always, I'm gonna love you and leave you. And I see you in the next video. bye-bye after you step on stage. Once the post-show can be one of the most, well, that is you post-show. Well, even if I did eat out quite a few times a week, or one thing that happens when you get exceptionally lean is that you even though it was that extremely difficult, it's not necessarily post-show still so while you can let loose a bit, post-show now you don't have to worry how exactly you look